And I was
Wow.
like, how can I feel bad still if my body's different? Right.
Yeah.
Because other people
Right.
told me that I lost a lot of weight. I remember my chemistry teacher pulled me aside, and she was very sweet lady, Mrs. Moffat, her name was. She's like, Brandon, she's like, do you mind if I ask you a question? And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. And it was day one of school. She's
Yeah.
like, I see you've lost a lot of weight. I said, yeah, I have.
Yeah.
And she's like, is everything okay? And I was like,
Wow.
yeah, everything is
Wow.
okay. Why are you asking me that?
It's
And she
actually
like,
better in a sense.
in a way, in some
Yeah.
ways it
Yeah. Yeah.
wasn't, but the person next to me said, dude, she probably thought you were on drugs. And I
Mm,
was like,
yeah.
I didn't even think the drugs weren't even like a part of my scope of imagination at that point.
Let's go. You are incredible. Your body has a purpose. Your life has a purpose. You were designed to live the best life possible.
Mic check. Mic sound okay? Camera one good. Camera two good. All right, here we go. Welcome back to another episode. This is Listen, You're Not Defeated, and I am your host, David Hernandez. And let me tell you, when I say I am pumped, I am freaking pumped for today's episode, because I have an amazing entrepreneur, an amazing gentleman, amazing friend that through the last couple of months has really allowed us to build a really good friendship, and through business and the things that I've even learned from him, and just conversations that we've been able to have in terms of business, in terms of health. I'm super excited to introduce to you all my super amazing friend, Brandon, who's going to be talking to us today about some of his darkest moments that have become pivotal transitions and transformations in his life that have allowed him to now be able to help other business owners to make a gigantic impact in their life. So without further ado, Brandon, what is up, my brother? So good to have you on my episode, man.
Great to be here, man. I'm pumped that we made this happen, and I'm excited to talk with you because we're kindred spirits. We have similar
Totally.
missions, and
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the opportunity of chatting with you and your people.
Yeah, man, we had quite a bit of challenges to get this thing going and get this dates locked in. But look, we're here, and I couldn't be more excited because when I met you, and we met through a mutual mentor of ours, there was something about you. There's this, which I believe comes from your heart, the humility that you have to just serve and help others. But let me tell you that transcends through everything about you, the way you look, through the glow in your face, through the way you speak, through the way you even teach, right? Because I've sat in and I've listened to some of your teachings and things like that. And just one, you're super eloquent in the way you speak, right? You're super good at words. But I just really want to just take a moment to acknowledge that, man, because I believe that when you meet somebody and are able to receive that from somebody, it's worth celebrating, because you're an incredible man, and I couldn't be happier for you to be on here to just share your experiences with my audience. So share a little bit, man. Tell the audience about you. What do you do, and what life is like right now?
Sure. I mean, first of all, dude, you just made me feel really good. So I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful that you and I are friends. I'm grateful that Dai introduced, the two of us.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're both his student.
Yes,
And
sir.
I love everything that you're doing, what you're building, the way that you want to help people. And I was really blown away when you were on my show. Not that I didn't, believe that you were
Yeah.
so just, what's the word? You're an intellectual in your space. And, obviously I kind of knew that, but I didn't really know that until you came on the show and you went deep into some of the things you were talking about. And I was like, damn, he knows like what he's talking about. And I loved it because I love talking to people smarter than me. And I was like, this is that situation.
You're gracious, man.
I was just nerding out, man. So first of all,
Yeah.
thank you for your kind words.
Yeah.
And you just raised the bar, bro. So now I've really got
no pressure, dude.
To give, I mean, I'll give you just a bit of background. Normal background. I grew up, to a married couple. My mom and my dad are still together. They're still alive. I'm grateful for that. And I grew up with a brother, a sister, and I grew up as the fat kid. I was always just a bigger guy, just my whole life since I saw my kindergarten picture was, you know, I looked like a normal kid, but every grade after that, I just got fatter and fatter and fatter. And it was never to the point where it was like life threatening, but it was to the point where it was confidence threatening and ego threatening. And just, I thought that was just who I was, right? I grew up as a fat kid. And I remember my parents justified it. My grandparent justified it. She literally looked at me and said, "Oh, you're just big boned, honey. It's okay to look that way." And I was like, big boned. I was like, I didn't know that people were born with different sized bones. This makes sense that my friends are smaller than me. And I went through with that belief for most of my life. And it got to the point where I finally wanted to get into the dating world. And I was like, okay, well, I got to change something because now I'm in 10th grade and I'm still the chubby kid with the spiky hair. Obviously, for those watching, you know, that's gone now. My hair migrated down here. Right. And I realized I had to do something, and I resorted to the cheap fix. Right. I resorted to I didn't know about how to work out. I didn't know about nutrition. We're not taught those things. Right. So I resorted to Facebook advertisements for this pill called the acai pill, you know, the acai berries. And it was like that and Garcinia Cambogia. And I talked to you about this already, but I was like, oh my God, weight loss, like feel good about myself. Sure, I'm going to do it. So I bought them, and I don't know if it was the pills that worked or maybe I was more active that summer, who knows? But the next year I went into school, now a junior, and I lost a lot of weight. I don't know how much, but I went from being a chubby kid to I was a string bean. And the weird thing was I still felt bad about myself, and I still felt fat. And I was like, how can I feel bad still if my body's different? Right. Because other people told me that I lost a lot of weight. I remember my chemistry teacher pulled me aside, and she was a very sweet lady. Mrs. Moffitt, her name was. She's like, Brandon, she's like, do you mind if I ask you a question? And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. And it was day one of school. She's like, I see you've lost a lot of weight. I said, yeah, I have. And she's like, is everything okay? And I was like, yeah, everything is okay. Why are you asking me that? And
it's actually better in a sense.
In a way, in some ways it wasn't, but the person next to me said, dude, she probably thought you were on drugs. And I was like, I didn't even think the drugs weren't even like a part of my scope of imagination at that point. So, you know, long story short, man, after high school, I moved into sales, and I finally found something I was good at. Right. And I was so obsessed and focused on making money. And my health just took a back seat once again. And within a year or two, I went from I know it's about 190 pounds I was, and I went to 260 pounds within a year to a year and a half. And it got to the point, man, where I was earning a lot. I drove a nice car. I had nice things, but I was just so unhappy with my life. And I was like, is this how life is always going to be? And I was just negative, and I was unhappy. And a mentor came into my life at that point, because I finally wanted to move up in that company. And he looked at me, and he gave me probably some of the best words that I ever needed to hear at that moment in time. When he looked at me, David, and he said, Brandon, there's no way in hell you're ever going to be a leader in this company. And I was like, I was crushed, dude. I was very angry. And I looked at him and I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, Brandon, you don't take care of yourself. Your body is out of whack. I know you're not happy about it. And he said, and Brandon, I know that other people aren't going to be led by you if you can't even lead yourself. Other people won't respect you if you're not going to respect yourself. And it crushed me, dude. It crushed me.
But there's a lot of truth in that.
100%. I was so negative, man. I was so negative. I used to think leadership was that you told people what to do. I used to think it was about managing people. And I had no concept what leadership was. And he helped me realize that above all, you have to lead yourself, and you have to support yourself before you can get around to supporting others.
Wow. He gave you some real tough love. And I think it's pivotal in certain moments of our life to get us to wake up, to take action, right? Because you said something really powerful when we had our initial conversation, and I wrote it down. You said, it's more important to work harder on you than you do your job. And that just I'm telling you, man, it spoke to me. It hit me because that is exactly the same thing I believe. And it's something that I talk about very often. And I use the phrase and I say it, your health is bigger than you, because it impacts everything about us. And very exact same sense in the concept that you just said in different way, in different words, is absolutely 100% true. So he came, he gave you that tough love. You're in that negative place because look, when we're not happy, or when we know, and here's the funny part, when somebody tells us something that we know it just like bothers us, there's something there that is saying that is true. He has a point. It's hurting us. It stings us, right? And so I think we have two choices. We can either allow that in our ego, so to speak, or our pain to like defeat us and get us angry and run away, right? And continue the same life, or do what you did and swallow that hard word,
dude,
right?
It sounds maybe like I did, but I really didn't, because it was about that and me actually deciding to take control of my life. It was about a week in between where he gave me that tough love. I did not like it whatsoever. I was like, screw you. I didn't say that, but I was like, that's bull. I've been here for 2 to 3 years now. I'm one of the top earners on the team. I am going to go and look for a job where they'll respect me and where I'll have the opportunity to rise into leadership. And I worked for a cell phone company. I'll just say it. I worked for Verizon Wireless.
All right.
And I was like, I'm going to go to a different cell phone company because maybe I'll have better opportunities somewhere else. So I applied for AT&T. All right. I was like, I'll show them. I'll apply for the main competitor. And I got the job. And I was about to leave the next day to get on a plane to go to Maryland for training. I live in upstate New York. So it was a big ordeal. I'd be away for a week or two for training. And that same boss, he didn't have to do what he did next. He called me. And he heard through the grapevine that I was leaving the company. I didn't even give a proper 2-week notice because I was kind of a scumbag back then, dude, just in general. And he called. No, really. And he called me and he's like, Brandon, you're making a mistake. And I was like, okay, tell me about the mistake I'm making. And he's like, Brandon, you're getting married in 1.5 years. You make 6 figures here. He says, there's no way you're going to do the same over there. The compensation's totally different. He said, Brandon, you're thinking that the grass is going to be greener, but that's not the case at all. And I was like, of course you're going to say that. And he said, Brandon, if you really want an opportunity at this company, you can fix things. You can make this work for you. He says, you just have to start working on you. And I said, okay. I was like, what do I need to do then? And he's like, I'm going to give you a book the next time I see you. I said, okay. So the next time I see him, he gives me the book called The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. Have you read it?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. Yeah. The premise for everyone listening is your thoughts become things. Okay. And back then I was constantly thinking about how unhappy I was with my body. I was constantly gossiping about people. I was constantly complaining. I was constantly thinking about me, not about other people. And I just got more of that. I got more of that. Like attracts like. And if you think of yourself as a magnet right now, really, those listening, think of yourself and your thoughts as a magnet and ask yourself, if those things were a magnet, what kinds of thoughts and opportunities and circumstances are you currently attracting to yourself? Is it lack, not having this, can't do this? Or is it, I don't have this yet, but I'm willing to do what it takes to get there. I know that I can get there. David's done it, which tells me that I can do the same thing, right? Ask yourself, where are you? And don't judge yourself based on that answer, but simply observe where you are. Like, you don't need to judge, like you're where you are for a reason. Like we talked about a bit about you before we went live here, and you wouldn't know that the situation you're in right now is great if you didn't experience some shitty situations beforehand.
Totally. Yeah, right. 100%.
And I read the book and it was so cheesy because it was something completely outside my realm of thinking. I was like, this is really weird stuff. I've never heard of personal development before this point, dude. I never realized that that was even an industry. Now it's like a billion, billions and billions of industry every single year.
And it's
that's
funny,
when I
we're both
found
in that industry.
funny how that works, right? And that's when
right.
I found my purpose, dude, is when I discovered this industry. But I read the book, I discovered personal development. I was like, damn, this is like a whole world that I haven't tapped into. And I would listen to people on repeat, like Jim Rohn. And that's actually where the quote, work harder on yourself than you do your job. I didn't create that. That's Jim Rohn who said that. And it's so true. And I literally, I listened and repeated these tapes over and over and over. I listened, I watched the way they spoke, and I was like trying to brainwash myself because I obviously, we're all programmed from our early life, right? I think we talked about this in our conversation on the broadcast, but we're programmed from when we're 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, before we're even having our earliest memories. We already have this instruction manual that we're going through life with. And I realized it's not too late to rewrite the manual. And for everyone listening, it's not too late to rewrite your manual. It's not too late to change where you are. It just comes down to, what do you want to achieve? Right? What do you want for your body, for your finances, for your fitness? I didn't have goals until he took me under his wing, my mentor. And he said, I'm going to help you to get to where you want to get to. And like we keep alluding to, the very first thing he helped me with, dude, was my physical body. He helped me to go from 260 pounds to literally back to 190, 195 pounds. He helped me to lose over 60 pounds in 6 months. But dude, it wasn't even that, the weight loss that felt amazing. It was the way that I felt about myself, because I was doing different things. But after I started to make some progress, I realized, if I can do this, what else is possible for me?
Bro.
Yes. Say that again. Yeah, that's fantastic. Because that's so true, right? When we're able to tap into, and I'll say for the sake of a word, into this new dimension or to this new place that we've never been to, it's like, what else? What else can I go after? What else can I achieve? And you were young. How old were you at that time?
I was 21 when he gave me the harsh advice. And it was between 21 and 22 when I really made these big changes. Yeah. I'm 28 now, to give people a reference point.
I lost my childhood best friend at 21. Had he, and I always wanted to be that mentor for my friend. 18, we split away. I moved to Miami. He stayed in Texas. And for many years, I felt a lot of shame and guilt because I felt I could have done more to help him. But had my friend had this information, right, had somebody there to encourage and support him in that way, I probably would still have my best friend. And the fact that you did something with that, because I, for years, tried, but he wasn't ready for it. And that's the saddest part there that really breaks me, right? Because it's not that if he would have had somebody, because I was there and I tried to be that person all along, right? I wasn't necessarily an expert at that time, but he wasn't ready. And the biggest difference here that I'm hearing with you is that in spite of your inner battle and this ego thing, right, you chose to humble yourself and accept this challenge and take on this opportunity to do something. And that is, I believe, the biggest difference, man. We can get all the information in the world. We can be told to do everything that'll help us, that'll change us, that'll just make us better. But if we're not ready and we're not willing, nothing happens. Which is why that story, that as you share it, dude, it just like really hits me, because you could have, and who knows, right? Had you done nothing, who knows where you'd be today? Who knows what your life would be like right now?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a game of choices, right? One choice will lead you one direction. Another will lead you another. I have a friend, Dr. Rob Bell, his name is, he's a mental toughness coach. And he talks about something he calls hinge moments. And in our life, there's a bunch of different moments that are called hinge moments, that are a moment where a decision you make will forever change the course of your entire life. And I remember I was driving in the car. This is when I was like 19. I was driving to work. We were carpooling, and I had a coworker. Her name was Rita. She turned on a Tony Robbins tape, and she was starting to listen to it. And she was like, "Oh, this is Tony Robbins." She's like, "I love him. I listen to him all the time. He's incredible." And I judged her hardcore. I was like, "Ooh, this is weird stuff." I was like, "Who listens to stuff like this?" And I said that to her. I was like, "I don't, I respect that you listen to it, but I don't know if this is something I'm going to listen to." But then just 2 years later, Tony Robbins became one of my most giant role models, that I literally would watch and listen to all of his content. So it just goes to show, like what you just said, man, sometimes we're ready for the information like that will change our lives. And if we're not ready, then it's like it all goes right over your head. I think you said it the best. I think you're the one who said this, but we either change due to inspiration, or we change from desperation. And I was at a point in my life where I had no other option but to change, because it wasn't just me I was responsible for. It was my wife at the time. And now, we both contribute equally, which is incredible, but not that really matters. But at the beginning, it was just me, and I had to figure out income. I had to figure out anything that would help me to feel better. And that's why I think that moment when Keith, my mentor, came into my life, I think that it just like what you talked about with faith in God before we went live, man, I think everything just lined up in the exact way that it was meant to. Because look, at 7 years later, now I'm telling the story over and over and over again. And if I didn't have this story, if I didn't have these experiences, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the difference maker there. We can receive information and do nothing with it, or we can receive the information and take action, right? Do something. And I think that's why in these moments, driving force is really important. One, understanding purpose and meaning, right? Like for you, it was your wife. It was, I got to do something. And sometimes that could be extrinsic motivations, right? Like in that case, it was like the extrinsic in the sense of reward or punishment. Well, if I don't better myself, then I might not be able to have financial means. I'm not be able to support my wife. I'm not be able to support myself and do anything. So there are moments that these things do drive us, but having a clear understanding of, well, how is this directly impacting me today? You were making 6 figures, but you weren't happy. You weren't satisfied, right? You didn't feel good. You didn't have confidence. You weren't in the best place you could be mentally, emotionally, right? Mind, body, and soul. But look at how funny it is that your body impacted all of those things.
Everything. You know why? I think the biggest reason why is because by making small changes, like I said, it didn't take losing the 60 pounds for me to realize, like, damn, I can do this everywhere else. It was practically within a month. I realized if I can make these physical changes with my body, then I can get myself out of this debt that I'm in. I can move up into leadership with the company. Like, I think a very powerful aspect of the body, and some people will say this is vain, but I think it's really important. The fact that you can see the difference with your body is super powerful, because you can't necessarily I guess, but you can't really look at a mindset. You can't really look at, I guess you can, but it's different, like relationship success or spiritual success. You can see when somebody is in shape. You don't even need to know that person. But when you look at them, you're like, oh, that person takes care of their body. That person works out. When it comes to your body, you seeing those changes and improvements just fortifies the idea that you can make those same changes and improvements in the other areas of your life as well. But I'm also a firm believer that you need to take a look at the part of your life that is weighing down the other parts of your life. Like for me, it was physical was number one. Second was financial, because I was earning six figures, but I was spending so unwisely, buying all these things I didn't need. I just thought that if I kept buying things, I'd feel better. And I had to get myself out of that hole that I dug for myself. But by working on my body, it gave me the ambition and the motivation to start focusing on my finances, which then allowed me to be there more emotionally with the people in my life and my relationships, which then allowed me to focus on my career. So it was like a chain effect, and working on my physical body was the one big domino that pushed over all the other dominoes.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And there's no, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's not a coincidence, right? It was, again, going back to this intentionality piece by focusing on, okay, what is actually hindering me? What is the main thing here, right? Oh, I'm not happy. I'm overweight. I'm unhealthy, right? Which then is leading to unhealthy habits, unhealthy choices, unhealthy decisions, right? Which is then impacting the way you feel, the mood, your energy, your drive, your ability to perform as a man. It trickles down into so many other areas, but being intentional and understanding this here, right? Because I think a lot of times we tend to look away, and maybe you can agree with me. We tend to want to look away from the real issue. It's like, oh no, I'm not unhealthy. No, I'm not really overweight. I'm still beautiful, right? I still like my curves, right? It's okay. I'm beautiful in the way I am. They should still love me for this. I believe that's good, but however, we've got to start being like very honest with ourselves, right? And taking responsibility in this ownership and really accepting, I'm struggling here. In the same way, like how I encourage those that are struggling with emotional eating or stress eating, a lot of times that's a very delicate conversation, because there's a lot of shame and judgment and things tied to that. And sometimes the acceptance piece or the recognizing piece is hard. But I believe when you take that and you own it and you say, I got that tough love, it smacked me in the face, but you know what? He's actually kind of right. I am unhealthy. I don't look good. This is affecting me. And when you own it, boom. And you take action like you did, man. Look at the incredible results.
Yeah, I think he helped me to find that awareness. You've heard the quote, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
That's right.
And you're not going to find help in any area of your life until you're aware of the problem itself. You have to be problem aware. And again, I do believe it's very important to come from a place of love when you're being aware of what simply is, because what is right now, that doesn't have to mean that what is will always be. You can change.
Exactly.
You can change. And it's important to say my physical progress was over the course of 6 months, but then it still took 3 more months to create a financial plan and get myself out of the debt that I was in. It took another 4 months to finally move into that leadership role that I wanted to move into. And it took time to get to where I wanted to get to. And you don't have to wait until you've gotten to the end result to feel good. I started to feel better about myself practically immediately, because if you think about really what makes you happy, it's not about the end result. It's not about like, that's awesome. You're going to feel great when you're there, but then you're just going to end up saying, okay, cool. What's next? Right. And then you're again waiting and postponing your happiness until you reach the next milestone and the next milestone. What really felt the best was the small wins along the way. And the way that I felt after even a small workout. I remember the first time I started going to the gym with him, I had no idea how to use any of the equipment. I'd never really been to a gym. I used to go with my mom actually, and I just stuck to the treadmill and the elliptical because it was simple. Yeah. And by the way, no judgment on those things. I still use those things too.
They're essential.
The other 85% of the machines in there were like no man's land to me because I didn't want to look stupid. And I think that's a big thing for people with fitness. You don't want to look dumb. You don't know how to work out. And we weren't taught how to work out. I mean, in gym class, we were forced to do all these things that we didn't even want to do. But why weren't we shown how to eat? Why weren't we shown how to use the equipment in a gym? And I know more schools are going more towards that with like gyms in the schools and stuff like that. But I didn't have that. And the first couple of times I started working out, I never really knew what working out felt like. And when I started to leave the gym with him, I was like, wow, this is what it's all about. Like, I feel on top of the world now. And I look the same as when I walked in, but then slowly but surely, other people start to see how you look different. Right.
That's right.
And they'll tell you, I remember one time after I started this challenge, 75 Hard by Andy Frisella, and I told Di about it. And a month later, Di was like, woof, you know how Di is. He's like, dude, look at your shoulders, man. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, you're looking toned. Your shoulders look great. And I was like, you think so? And afterwards, I went to the mirror. I was just in front of the mirror and I looked and I was like, oh, I do see a kind of a slight difference here.
Yeah.
So it's funny how other people will even see your progress before you do. But it's about, and it sounds cliche, but it's the truth. And I think if you look inside, you'll agree, everyone listening. It's about the journey that feels the best.
Please
you
say
actually, it's about the journey. It's about you actually showed up and you did what is going to get you the result that you want. Even though you don't have the result yet, you know that you're on the path. And that's the part that feels the best, man, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. What can you tell those that might be watching and here and listening in that are on this journey and in this process, but yet because they have not seen all of the results yet, they feel like a failure, but they keep showing up and they keep striving? What would you say to them?
If they're listening to this, they already know that, it just keep going and you'll get to where you want to get to. And you know that already. And we all know that inherently, but as human beings, we have this need for the instant gratification due to things like now you can download a video game. Now you can go on Amazon Prime. Now you can go on Netflix and buy the movie, when back in the day you had to go to the theater or go to Blockbuster or whatever it was for different generations. Like, that if you just literally, you know that if you just keep going, that you'll get to where you want to get to. But something that I always talk about, I have what I call the 5 P's of self-mastery. And the fifth P is progress. It's just 1% progress every single day towards where you want to get to. It's not about, okay, you've decided that you want to release 60 pounds or 100 pounds or 200, whatever stage you're at. Okay, awesome. You don't have to now go out today and get the gym membership and go to the gym and focus on making an eating plan. We create a goal in our mind, but if you think about what a goal to us really is, it's a picture in our head that we create, right?
Yeah.
And that picture then creates a feeling, which then turns into action. But that picture that a lot of people create, including myself, when we create a big goal for ourselves, is an insurmountable giant picture of all the different things that we have to do on the list in order to get to where we want to go. Just understand that if you just do one thing every single day, at the end of 30 days, you're going to be in a completely different place. At the end of 6 months, your life will look different. At the end of a year, you're going to look back and you'll be on a show like this talking about the person you were a year ago. And all you did was do one thing every single day. Just think about you with your show, man. I mean, I've known you long enough now to know that you've accomplished a lot in the time that I've known you. And it's you doing one thing every single day. And now we're here talking to each other. You're going to upload this. It's going to reach a bunch of people. It's going to live forever. Like, just one thing every single day will get you from where you are to where you want to go. And you know this inherently, but we're just so programmed by the Amazon Prime and by everything else we do. Just keep moving forward. KMF, keep moving forward.
Love that. Stay connected and tuned into that every day.
Yeah.
Talk about goals. I know this is a big thing that you teach. And I want to come back a moment after this to kind of talk about some of the things that had to change in you and about you to get you, obviously, to release the weight, to get you where you're at today and to keep building on that, because you're still on your journey, right? I think each day, even though we've strived and got to a certain level of goal, like each day we're still striving to become better. And you're still on this lifestyle journey of better health every single day. But talk to me about goals. You are a absolute professional in that area. You teach that's one of your core teaching topics and one of the things that your business drives on, teaching others how to be effective in goal setting. What What's some advice you can share about goal setting, about those that might be in a place right now very similar to where you were when you were 21? They're unhealthy. They might be overweight, struggling to become the person that they want to become. How does somebody start in that area to start chasing after their goals?
Great question. Harvard University, which, people much smarter than me, they did a study many, many years ago. And the study was, I'll say it simply. The study was they took their graduating students, 1,600 students, and they all asked them the question, raise your hand if you have clear, concise, and written goals for your life. And 3% of the room rose their hand that they actually had clear, concise, and written goals that were in a journal or on paper somewhere they could reference.
Yeah.
97% of people had no goals. 14% of them rose their hand saying, yeah, I kind of have an idea of what I want, but I haven't written it down yet. Well, when they followed back up with those students 10 years later, the 3% of people who had written goals for their life, they earned 10 times as much money as the other 97% of students combined.
10 times.
10 times. Dude, combined. Crazy. I mean, all they did different, dude, was they wrote down what they wanted. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I understand how the law of attraction really works and the quantum mechanics that are there. All I know is that they are real. And all I know and that I believe and have faith in is that what you ask for, you will receive. And that could be for good or that could be for bad, right? A lot of us, believe it or not, are asking for the same thing that we've had for a long time. We leave a toxic relationship, we find another toxic relationship because we've created certain sets of standards. But really, goals have been so convoluted over time and thinking, oh, well, how do you set them? The SMART method. And you need a long-term goal and a short-term goal. Listen, all those things are really cool. But really, all you need to know is, what do you want? Like, what do you want your life to look like in 1 year?
Yeah.
What if you could choose, what would you like your life to look like in 10 years? While it might not look anything like that, what do you want your experience of living life as a human being? What do you want this journey to look like for you? What kind of car do you want? What kind of body do you want? How do you want to look? How do you want to feel in this body that you have? What kind of relationship do you want to be in? What types of friends do you want to spend time around? I challenge you listening. If this is the one thing you take away from this conversation, then that's huge. And that's a big step. Write down how you want your life to look in all the different areas, how much money you want to make, what kind of business you want, or what kind of company you want to work for. Just treating yourself like the way that you would treat other people, right? We're so quick to help other people with their problems, but when's the last time you sat down and actually wrote what you wanted your life to look like? Treat yourself the way that you treat others and create intentions for your life, like with you and your fiance now, right?
Yeah.
When you first got in that relationship, you were very intentional about what you wanted that relationship to look like. And the benefit was her intentions were the same as yours. She's like, okay, great. That sounds great. That sounds great. That sounds great. And because you're aligned and you have a vision, now you begin to move towards that vision. We are like servo mechanisms, like a heat-seeking missile. If we have the target, you don't necessarily need to know the 4,000 steps in between where you are and where you want to be. But your subconscious mind knows, right? And it will guide you along the path. But you need to decide, what is the target? What is it that I want? Because if you don't have that, you're a missile that's just floating through space, hitting opportunity after opportunity, but not knowing what you want because you've never decided in the first place.
That's so good. That's so good. Now, let's go a step further. What about for all of those analytical thinkers that are saying, okay, great, Brandon, I hear you, but like, I don't know how I'm even going to do it. I don't know how to even write it out. There is maybe some fear, some hesitation, right? Of like, well, I don't know the details to really know all of that. What advice do you give them?
My advice for them would be, And I love how you put that, by the way. And by the way, if it makes you analytical people feel better, you can put it in a spreadsheet and you can color code it and you can make it really pretty. There you go. Like, listen, I'm not that guy. I literally, like, if you're watching, I've got a notebook with blue ink, right? And there's a study actually that says that blue ink.
Same way. Look at that.
Yeah. No, we're literally the same. Absolutely. Yeah. There's a study that shows, believe it or not, that blue ink will actually cause what you write to be further downloaded into the subconscious mind. And I don't know any facts behind that or any studies.
Interesting, though.
I believed it. And for probably 7 or 8 years, I've only been using blue ink when I write my goals down. So my advice for you, if you want to get technical, is write your goals down as if they have already happened. Okay.
Good.
So let's say your goal is you want to release 30 pounds. Okay. And let's say you're 210 pounds right now. So you would write that by saying something along the lines of, this is the way I do it. You can do your own thing, but I write, I am so grateful that I weigh 180 pounds or whatever the goal is. Don't say I want to lose this amount of weight, right? Say I am already this weight. I earn this much money per year. There's a study out there. It's actually, it's been studied for years and years and years, but Napoleon Hill from Think and Grow Rich talked about this in the 1920s when he wrote the book. It's an incredible book. I recommend it to everybody. He talks about a concept called auto-suggestion. AUTO suggestion, auto-suggestion. And it's the principle that, have you ever met a liar who they just lied so much over and over and over that they believed their own lie? And you knew it was bullshit, but they just kept telling you the same thing. And it's like, dude, I know it's not true. And they're like, what do you mean? It is true. If you gave that person a lie detector test, there's a very high possibility that they would actually pass the lie detector test. And it's like, dude, oh my God.
That would be me in my 20s.
You get good at it. And you get good at convincing yourself of what you want to be true. And if you're writing every single day, so for you process-oriented people like me, I'm very step 1, step 2, step 3. Write it as if you've already achieved it. And then write it every single day.
Ooh,
every single day, write it down. If you don't have 10 minutes to do this, I'll tell you. I'll tell you. If you don't, by the way, if you don't have the 10 minutes every single day to write down what you want, you don't have a life. Like if you don't have 10 minutes to write down and set intentions for your life, then what are you even listening and watching for? Right. So when you write it down every single day, you're doing exactly what we just talked about. Auto-suggestion. You are convincing yourself that you've already achieved a specific outcome. And we are 1% of our experience, what we're experiencing right now, me looking at my screen and seeing you, you looking at me, you hearing me hearing you. That's 1% of our experience. 99% of our experience as a human being is happening underneath the surface on the very subconscious level. Okay.
Yeah.
And
very true.
when you look into how do you subconsciously train yourself to do something. If you want to learn how to play guitar and you're learning how to play a chord, your fingers don't go into the position necessary until you try about 100 times or more. And then finally you strum and there's no dead strings. It rings through perfectly. And you do it over and over and over and over and over. And you go to sleep and then you wake up and you're 10 times better. And you're like, wow, how did I get better in my sleep? It's unbelievable. And while you were practicing, you might have felt like you were getting worse. But when you sleep, your brain is repairing. It's doing all the fluid stuff that the brain does. And it's sleeping. And when you wake up, you're actually better because those learnings were now compressed into your subconscious mind. Wow. The same thing happens when you write your goals down every single day as if you achieve them. You start to believe that you've already achieved the outcome. And because your subconscious mind is the driver, it's guiding you subconsciously in the direction that will lead you to your outcome.
Yeah. So, but like I said, they're very minute things that anybody could do. And it comes back to being intentional and taking action with that. And now, is this something that you do these types of trainings, right? You talk about this, you talk about the goal setting, right? What is another, just give us one other thing. You had mentioned that goals come from the thought, right? As we are visualizing this imagination, then it goes to feelings and then it goes to action, I think you said. Could you share a little bit about that concept there and how that plays on and the importance behind that as well?
If you think back to what we talked about, you're going after that feeling that you get when you are on the journey, when you're making the 1% progress every single day. You've already taken a big step by writing the goal down, knowing what you want to achieve. And then really it's not to continue thinking about it. That's important, but it's just start doing, man. Start taking one step every day. Start. I mean, what I challenge you to do is this, actually. Sit down and right now think in your mind of what it is you want. As you're listening to this, think about that goal in your mind that you want. And if you don't really know what it is, just imagine like you did know what you wanted and you're imagining your life 10 years from now in your head, right? In your own theater of imagination. And as you see through the first person, the way that you want your life to look, how does that make you feel when you're visualizing your life? When you make it more bright, when you make it more vivid, when you make it more real, you can experience the outcome that you want before you even achieve it in this physical world that we're in right now, because we have this strange power of creating a picture in our head. So if you're creating the picture of what you want and you don't get that feeling you want, that might not be the right picture. So continue to change the picture of what you want. And there's so many concepts and studies out there about visualization and the power of visualization and how your mind actually can't tell the difference between something you see in your head versus something that you're experiencing in real life. It's like there's 100%. Actually a study, which I love telling this because it's funny. It's fascinating. If you think about running in your head and you envision yourself running, just imagine yourself running on a track right now, just one big circle. You will actually be activating the muscles in your legs when you're visualizing yourself running. If they hook those little synapse things to your body, those little sensors, they would see the neurons in your legs firing. Okay. The same thing when you envision yourself lifting a weight. Your bicep will actually start firing off when you think about yourself lifting a weight. This is why some of the greatest athletes of all time, before they go for the golf swing, before they jump in the pool, like if you're a Michael Phelps, no matter what they're doing, they envision what they want before they do it, because they're training their mind and their body to act in sync to achieve what they want. So after you write down what you want, start living it before it even has happened. So if it's a weight thing,
it's good.
Imagine how you look. Have you ever been your goal weight? Think about the time when you were the goal weight. What did you look like? What did you feel like? What will you look and feel like once you get to the weight goal that you have again? Just visualize it. And it's like a rehearsal, man. You're an actor. You know this. It's rehearsing the goal before it's even a reality.
And it's funny you say that, because that's the exact same strategy that we utilize to be able to connect and know. Because let's say you're given a scene, right? And you have to be enraged at somebody that maybe cheated on your wife. Maybe you've never been married. Nobody's ever cheated on you. How do you even know what that's like? How do you even know what that feeling's like? How do you even know? You can pretend it and act it, right? But it's so much better to actually live it and be able to, through visualization, identify, well, what would make me rage and become enraged in that same way, as if somebody actually cheated on my wife. Oh, somebody insulting my mother, for example. Interesting. Visualize that and see what happens, because like you said, in that same way, our subconscious doesn't know the difference between imaginary and reality.
Well, what do you think anxiety is? Anxiety, we're doing this all day long already. People are already seeing how things they want. People are seeing how things are going to go wrong before they even do them. People, if you think about what anxiety is, it's looking ahead at what's going to go wrong. When you think about what fear is, it's looking ahead at what's going to go bad. When you think about what depression is, it's looking back and reliving what you've already experienced in a negative way. Wow. Right. So instead of those things, why don't, and again, this isn't natural for us to do this. For some people, it might be. For a very small percentage, though, they look ahead and they see how things will go based on how they want them to go. That's right. So you're already doing this. Believe me, you're already a pro at looking ahead. Just look ahead at what you want, not what your animal brain is telling you.
Yeah. That's so good, man. That's good. Dude, this has been awesome. And what things had to change in you to get you to the place where you're at today going back briefly to that state where you were just at war with your body, at war with yourself, what things had to change and what things continue to change? And then the last part to this question is, what do you really focus on and prioritizing to continue to work on yourself daily, to continue to help you evolve?
Great question, man. And I spoke earlier about focusing on that one area of life that's dragging all the other ones down. And it's important to focus on the one because it's hard to focus on 5 big areas of your life all at once.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And once you focus on one long enough, I mean, there's studies that say 21 days for a habit, 91 days. Like there's so many different ones. For me, all I know is my own experience. It might be different for you, but for me, it was 6 months of working on my body. I was able to build in a routine of fitness in my life where now it was not a question of whether I would work out 3 times a week of some shape and form of exercise. It was knowing that I only eat between the hours of noon and 8 p.m. Do I vary from that sometimes? Sure. Of course. I eat breakfast maybe, once a month, but I always go back to that routine that I've created for myself. So I would say once you've built the routine that you want in that one area of life, that's when it's time to move on to the next one. So I'm not analytical, but I'm very process oriented to the fact that I am just a creature of habit. And we all are, I believe, where every morning I wake up, I give myself the first hour of each day. I told everyone to give 10 minutes to write down what you want. I give myself the first hour because I believe that you're important enough to give yourself, if you sleep for 8 hours, that's 16 hours left. I believe you're important to give yourself 1 out of those 16 hours to just yourself, to plan, to learn, to reflect, and to focus on what it is you want. But to really answer your question, man, I'd say exactly what we talked about before we even went live, which is intentionality. Nowadays, I'm very intentional about what I'm doing with my time, where I'm placing my focus, what I'm moving towards next, what I'm making progress towards. I'm very intentional about who I give my time to, where I give it, and what it is I want to do. Because especially now I've realized I've taken care of me and I continue to take care of me. So what can I do now in order to give back to other people? And that's where Be Better Industries come into place. That's where Team Elevate, my corporate business, comes into place. Like, what can I do to give these same principles and teachings to others? And my suggestion would be, once you start seeing some wins and making some progress, start helping other people too, right?
I love that.
Take someone who's 1 step behind you and help them to get to where they want to get to. Obviously, if they're doing it, they already know that they want a specific outcome, right? So it's, you don't have to teach them to want something like we talked about. They already want it. So say, hey, I've been watching you do this. Do you mind if I show you a workout that's worked for me? Or do you mind if I show you a different way to do it? But whatever area of life it is, just give back and help other people. I mean, that's why we're doing a podcast, right? Because we get to have cool conversations, but it also allows us to give back. And maybe one person will hear one little thing that we talked about and they'll do something different as a result from that. So that's really what I'd recommend. Create systems for your life, create routines. And then once you see progress, start helping other people do it, because that will make you better at it too.
I love that, dude. I love that. Much wisdom in that. And I know people will definitely get more than just one thing out of today's episode with you, man. So talk to me as we close, man. Talk to me about Be Better. Talk to me about your amazing company. What does it do? How are you helping individuals? And then tell the audience how they can contact you. And if you have any upcoming events or anything going on, please also share.
Absolutely. Thank you for allowing me to also. So in 2019, I started Be Better Industries, and the goal is to help people to live a better life in the 5 key areas of their life: their emotions, their finances, their relationships, their spirituality, and their physical body. And we do that through our podcast that you were an incredible guest on, and that episode is out now. It's the Be Better broadcast, and you can find that on all the podcast platforms. You can find it on YouTube if you like to watch the videos. But we release content that helps people to improve their life. And also, I have what I've been doing recently is helping other people to become online coaches, to help people learn things that they had to learn in their own life. So if you're ready to teach other people how to make these transformations, go check out those videos on my YouTube channel or my LinkedIn or wherever your platform of choice is, and check out those videos and start putting into practice what they teach, because that's a great way to help people with the internet and all the tools that we have at our disposal these days. There's so many different ways that you can give back and help other people to live a better life yourself.
That's awesome, dude. Absolutely. How can people get in touch with you if they want to get in touch with you, if they want to know more about your coaching program and what you do? Sure. How can they reach out?
I'd say the best way is go on LinkedIn and connect with me on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn because it lets you actually have conversations with people. Yeah. If you want to start a one-on-one conversation, again, LinkedIn's great, or you can shoot me an email at brandon@bebetterindustriescom, and then we can have a conversation there too.
Brandon@bebetterindustriescom. All that information is going to be in the show notes. So please, if you have any questions about goal setting, about how to start your own online business, or want to even get insight about how he made this amazing transformation in his life, check the information out in the description, in the show notes. All of his contact information will be there. So make sure you give a shout out to him and give a gracious thumbs up to his YouTube and all of his podcasts as well. Brandon, dude, it's been an honor, man. Thank you so much. I had the privilege of being on your podcast a couple of weeks ago. Now I've had the privilege of you being on my podcast. You're an amazing gentleman. You're an amazing, amazing coach and mentor. I continue to learn things from you. So thank you for just being so humble and always being gracious to share. And thank you for putting yourself first and understanding your worth and your value, because you're incredible, brother. And I can't wait to see how many more lives you impact and change. So thanks for coming on. Have a fantastic day, brother.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for the opportunity. It's always a pleasure talking with you, Dave.
It's an honor, bro. Have a good one. Peace.
And that's the end of our episode. What an amazing show. What an amazing conversation we had with Brandon. He's such a great guy, and I hope you were able to get some nuggets that you can implement in your business to help you get to the next level. If you want to connect with Brandon, his information is down below in the show notes. Shoot him a message. Connect with him on social. He's definitely a guy that can support you if you're looking to build your online business, or if you're simply looking to expand your current business. You definitely want to reach out to him. So again, his information is down below in the show notes. Shoot him a message and plug in and stay connected with him. Before I go, if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you click the subscribe button, click the bell so that you can get all the notifications of our up and coming episodes. And also, if you're watching or listening to us rather on your favorite podcast station, click the follow button so that you can also get all of the notifications of our up and coming episodes. If you want to connect with me, look, I'm on all social media platforms. You can follow me and find me under my handle at Dave K. Hernandez. You'll find it down there below. Reach out. Let's connect. Let's have a conversation. And if you want to go even deeper and really look at how you can better your health journey, how maybe you can get information on how to release weight or just to start living a better life, let's have a conversation. Connect with me. Visit my website. On there, you'll be able to book a conversation with me. You can book a call. We can have a conversation to talk about your journey. That's davidhernandez.co, davidhernandez.co. You'll also find it there down below. Let's connect and let's see how we can support each other. Before I go, I want to remind you, my 2-day conference, First Sleep to Better Health, is happening very soon, y'all. It's happening June 10th and 11th. If you haven't already registered, or if you want more information, find details about what this 2-day conference is, visit my website, firstsleeptobetterhealth.com. firstsleeptobetterhealth.com. You'll see it down below. Look there so that you can get all the details. Look, I'm going to be talking about how to master your eating habits. One of the number one causes to being overweight, living an unhealthy life, and having health complications is by not mastering our eating habits, by overeating. And 74% of all overeating actually comes from emotional eating, binge eating, or stress eating. So we're gonna be talking about how to master your eating habits. I'm gonna break down the 4-step process I use with my students to help you identify the root cause of why you stay stuck in this behavior pattern that is keeping you either overweight or unhealthy, that is taking you to go to food to cope with your emotions. I'm gonna be talking about how to be able to identify why you keep doing this pattern even though you don't want to do it. I'm gonna also teach you how to break it down so that you can identify a practical solution that'll guide you step by step into your process of putting an end to it for good. So once again, First Sleep to Better Health, happening June 10th and 11th. It is going to be live in Winter Haven, Florida, and it's also a virtual event that you can connect from anywhere. No matter what state, no matter what country you're in, you can connect live with us and you can get all of this powerful, powerful information and resources that will impact your life, your health, and everything about you. So visit firstsleeptobetterhealth.com, click there, register, and I hope to see you there. Look, I want to support you. Allow me to support you so that you can live the best life possible. My name is David Hernandez. Once again, you have tuned in to Listen, You're Not Defeated, and I hope to see you on the next episode. As always, remember, you are incredible. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Peace.